Hey guys, James Wilson Taylor here for Rock Sound. It is the latest of our video calls. We've been chatting to everybody while we're all stuck at home at the minute, and I'm delighted to say from Lonely the Brave, Jack is on the line. How are you, Jack?
Hello, very good, thanks. How are you doing?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad surviving. We've started all these off in a very similar way to say, of course, hope you and your loved ones, you're all staying safe, staying well throughout this mad period that just keeps stretching on into another new year. How have you been finding all this time at home, man? How have you been occupying your time?
Yeah, well, I'm just super lucky. We've got my mum runs us like two nurseries. So above the nursery, I've got a studio. So I've just been lucky enough, like ridiculously lucky, to just be in there pretty much every day, just doing just mixing and producing and just like writing bits and pieces. So it's not even really, like I said, other than the news and what I see on social media, things haven't really affected me massively at all. Like I think there was maybe 4 or 5 days when my mum was off. Our parents were like sat around me like, what do? We don't, because they don't really take time off, so it's a bit bizarre. But yeah, good. What about you? What have you been up to?
You're looking at it, man. This is it. Zoom call on Zoom calls, man. That's
Perfect.
The way forward. But it's working out very, very well. Yeah, I guess in terms of that writing and stuff, how have you found staying creative? Because it's been funny talking to some people where they've not switched off at all. They've been able to have this time and be like, oh, beautiful, some time at home, some time to write. Yeah. Other people really struggle with it just because it's such a weird time. They're not able to interact with people the same way to get inspiration. How have you found actually the writing element of being at home?
Yeah, fine. I guess because it's like, it's a bit separate in that I'm able to be removed and just kind of, I can literally turn a desk on, I can turn a computer on, and we have the facility to be like, right, like samples and like in terms of samples, I'm talking like a piano. I can press a button and there's a new piano. So in terms of like writing, it's always been a bit like, oh, I can just try this, and because I didn't come from a background of having any of this sample, any like the libraries of any different sounds. It was like I play instruments and stuff, so it's like so yeah, from doing that kind of thing, it's always been fine. But in terms of the band perspective, it's obviously been a bit weird, sending over mixes back and forward and just like ideas and things that way. That's been a bit strange, only because like I think like the band have come from like especially in the past, they've come from a place where they've all been in a room together and just kind of writing however bad or good it sounds in like a live room or whatever. That's just what it is. So you write from that perspective as opposed to having to like fire things, like it seems like the very American like way of being able to like, oh, I'll just ping you an email to the other side of the world and I'll send you this like bass stem or something. Like, what the hell? So I think it's a bit of a new area for the back, but it's cool because you can push them into that everyone sort of can like look into like interfaces and having like their own setup and okay, I can record a DI and I can like reamp it in the studio, and it's like, what the hell, this is like really, it's like revolutionary. I mean, it's been going for the past like 10-15 years or whatever, but I don't know. Yeah, it seems like we've been forced into this way of writing, but it's there's ways around it. So
yeah, it's funny how everyone's had to find new ways to make it work, and that's kind of one of the few positive things that's come out of this last year, I think, is actually opening up the ways in which people can make music and can keep carrying on in that way, and they don't necessarily have to even be in the same room. And on that note, I suppose, the new records are, of course, about to drop, the Hope List. I know you guys have been working on it a while. How much of that then was fully finished, fully formed before you all had to suddenly start working remotely? How much of that affected it?
Well, we finished because I think I don't know what the press releases said or whatever, but we were doing this album for like two and a bit years or whatever it was. But bear in mind, the guys have worked full time and they come up like whenever they could during their weekends, and we'd literally write for like 4 or 5 hours, and I'd just stand there and I kind of be like listening to the music, and I'd almost be like, because there's no point me being like, I'm going to try and sing over everybody in a live situation, and just instantly come out with the lyrics. And it's like, because we've got this big hall, it's really loud and lively, and it's all like wooden ceilings and everything. So it's like, so in terms of like band stuff, I think we got the last bit of recording down in late January or something like that in 2020. And then we got like a video or something late Feb or early March, and then first lockdown or whatever it was. So I think we wrote maybe 3 or 4 of the tracks prior to this, and then prior to the COVID and the COVID. And from March onwards, I kind of just got in and then did bits and pieces like mixing back and forth. But we literally had maybe 2 weeks of actually solid recording in 2020. and then all those ideas we got down, and I just tried to get as much as I could in my own time, like vocal melodies and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, 2 years is like I know it's like a joke. We basically did this album in like a few months, but their ideas have been sort of like brewing or whatever over time, and then I just try and throw down as many catchy melodies as possible in about 5 weeks. So
yeah, not a bad way to face it, particularly when there's a lot of adversity going on. Hit the ground running for sure. And I guess the obvious thing we should mention kind of up top, this is your first full length record with these guys. It's what a strange time to, I guess, suddenly come in and have this very, very strange recording process and time to put together a record when it's your first record with them. But I guess I just wanted to talk a little bit about finding your feet within them. Clearly it's a good fit. Clearly you guys are all getting on well and working together well. I know you guys did some shows back when shows were a thing, to kind of see how that all fitted together. But what were those key moments where it clicked for you guys? Did what was that early days process like, actually working with them, actually writing with them, where you sort of found your feet a bit more?
Well, firstly, when I realized the band wasn't like just a band with another singer, like I realized the band sounded like the band without anyone singing any vocals or anything. It sounded kind of like, I don't know, it just sort of sounded a bit like themselves, and they didn't really sound, it didn't sound too detached as I thought it was going to sound. When I just sort of walk into a room and listen to them playing just some sort of like wailing guitars and loads of delays and kind of like that vibe of the things that they do, because I was already a fan of what they did musically, because I'd seen them live, I'd watched them, I'd supported them a few times in bits and pieces. So the fit coming into just jumping into the band, and just kind of like, because I literally had to ask Mark at one point, I was like, am I in the band then? Am I sort of like, have I joined at some point? What's going on? But obviously you just kind of, it's kind of like this, you don't really talk to, I mean, I've never done this in the past anyway, so from personal experience, I don't really talk about like when's the chorus going to hit? Like when we're going to, like, you just sing, or you just play. And if it works, you kind of just gels in that way. And you don't have to really like kind of formulate how stuff is going to come about. So in terms of writing, they're writing their way, and then I write in my vocal melody way of like trying to come from like a pop and R&B, like a very off kilter alt rock background of it, and then it kind of merges that way. So I guess I don't know what moment it was that we thought, oh yeah, this is really working. Other than I got a chance to do a few shows with them so early on. So that was kind of like the first thing we did was like a hometown, like London gig, small gig, where I'm singing 14 or 15 of the songs that aren't even mine, that I'd listened to. And then people are like, right, how shit are you? Oh, can I swear? I don't know.
Oh, of course you can swear. Yeah.
Well,
that's fine.
So I basically like judging me, and that's fine. Like I totally would do the same thing. I'd like to think that I would give someone like a bit of freedom to do a good job, but like, no, if I went to watch someone, I'd just be like, right, are you any good or not? You know what I mean? Like, and that's fair enough. So it's all natural. But that was a big moment, the first gig we did, and the fucking played the Mirror, and honestly, I've still got ringing in my ears from that show. It's so loud, and so like everyone was just like, wow. So I can't imagine what gig's going to be back like when we start doing that again.
Oh God, yeah, must be so. Yeah. Whenever it does happen, we know it will happen at some point. Just depends when. But yeah, God, it's going to be absolutely crazy. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about preparing for that first show, because I imagine was it a stressful experience for you, or were you just kind of like, hey, whatever will be, will be?
Yeah. Well, that first gig, I thought I was going to die because I over exaggerate quite a lot, but I was literally like, my arms were like really weak, and I was doing this thing where I was just like, I was like, oh, maybe I'm just like nervous. I mean, I don't really get nervous. I was kind of like, oh, maybe I don't really know what that's all about. And I kind of worked out maybe a couple of weeks later that I thought it was like some sort of just kind of rubbish flu. It wasn't like a proper, like back then I would have been like, right, that's coronavirus. We're all going to die. It like straight off the bat, I would have been like that. Whereas then I was like, I don't know, maybe it's just like an illness, something. And I just remember like picking up mic and stuff, and I was just like, oh my God, everything feels like really like achy and a bit, I don't really get ill too much. I've just sort of like, although I eat junk food and stuff, I've been like veggie since birth and like vegan for the past however many years. I just managed to get that into an interview, as all vegans, I'm sure. But no, basically, I don't really get ill that often. So I was kind of like, oh, this is really strange. And yeah, so that was really, but I just put it to nerves at the time. But preparing for it, I remember I used to do a lot running, and I'd listen to like the first EP, like the Days War EP, and a bit of the album and stuff, and like try and run like a 5K to get to this bit, and then if I could sing along to it whilst I'm running, then I know that I probably got a good chance, like while I'm stood still, to be able to sing and hold the notes and things like that. So I did like a fair amount of preparation for it, and then yeah, when you turn up, obviously you can't hear a thing because it's just like the crowd is so loud, and I've got my molded ears. I'm like, what's going on? And yeah, it was just a bizarre kind of probably the most overwhelming thing in such a small room. It wasn't like a billion people; it was like 300 people or something. But it was a shock. The first one.
It's a big moment. It's a big moment, but it's good to, I suppose, just hit the ground with a big moment like that. That's trial by fire in a way, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, makes it work. I want to talk a little bit about some of the specifics on the record. I guess actually, just with the themes, I mean, you immediately jump to something like the title of the record as a whole, which is The Hope List. Feels very appropriate right now in a lot of ways as a kind of summing up title of the state we're all in, whether that was intentional or not. And then I also remember when Bright Eyes came out as the single, one of the quotes that was going around from yourself at the time was how it was about the importance of listening to one another and actually opening up conversations. Again, a very, very relevant statement. Have you found working on this record that you have found yourself reflecting the times we're in, or is it more writing things and then afterwards going, oh yeah, that's weirdly about the situation we're all in right now?
Yeah, no, that's the second, literally, because I only ever really write about things that I'm like kind of thinking I care strongly about, and they're usually like really small things, usually like just stupid things like I don't know, like I remember like well, Bright Eyes, for example. Yeah, I was getting annoyed with I mean, I know a lot of people do this anyway. They come off social media or they go off something and like, oh, I can't be doing with this because all these. It's like, I mean, what you go online, someone's got an opinion. Well done, congratulations, welcome to the world. It's not about having an opinion or not expecting people to have an opinion on something. Like I've always been like, yeah, say exactly what you think. The problem I had was when people were saying it was like when a lot of movement things were happening from America, and a lot of different aspects of like what you should be saying or shouldn't be saying, and voting, you know, like presidential stuff and all that kind of stuff. Everything was like filtering over here. And I remember there was one time I sat at home and I just like hadn't posted anything on Facebook. I was like, oh, I don't really, you know, it's just not affecting me. This has nothing to do with me, whatever. The same way I don't talk about like all my feelings on Facebook, funnily enough. And I remember someone messaged me literally, and I hadn't posted anything. I hadn't even been online. They said, "Oh, are you not going to say anything about like the, you know, like about the election, or are you going to say anything about like the protesters in London, or anti-vaccine, or all this kind of, not anti-vaccine, but like anti-mask wearers, things like that?" At the time, I was like, "What?" So I'm now getting told that I have to, even if I haven't said something, I'm now getting crucified for saying or not saying something. So it's like either way. I just felt like, how can anybody win? And I felt it was like a really, really challenging time. I felt like I'd love to get like, well, off the bat, I'd love to get like people who have the issues, like proper full on, like, you know, like really racist people, and people who aren't really racist people, and get them to talk, as opposed to people saying, "Oh, you're not like as anti-racist as I am." And I was like, no, you're missing the point, guys. Like, you're probably saying the same thing, except you're coming from a slightly different background, a background of where your morality is exactly the same. You're just trying to like, it's a bit of like a one-up shit, like trying to just be like, right, I've got the idea here, right? If you're not saying what I'm saying, you're wrong. And I was just like, if that makes sense, then we're all screwed. Like, it's like Labour, Conservative, and all this. It's like, it feels like all my Facebook is like everyone's Labour, and everyone I speak to on that walking a dog, everyone's Conservative. So I was like, we can't both be wrong. Do you know what I mean? Well, well, maybe you can. I don't know. But I just thought the point was just like, just have a, like, just please have a conversation about this, because this is how we can actually push forward. I'm not trying to be massively political, and you know, it is like the really small things. But I think like when you go out and you walk in the dog and speak to someone, or you know, you're chatting to someone, everyone's like normal. Everyone's like has the same core values and all this kind of stuff for the most part. So I don't think I just felt like it was a bit. Everything gets a bit detached when it goes on social media. You put a statement, or you put something very black and white. So it goes like, Facebook's all right. Twitter's probably the worst for me, I think, in terms of you put something out and everyone's like, well, there's so much context I can read into that. What's that? I love Instagram, because you just put a video or you put an image and people go like, cool, I like that. And then music's even better, because you just do whatever you feel. You put it out there and someone goes, I didn't realize you were talking about this. I was like, cool. I wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Like I was talking about something else, completely different. So I mean, there's a bit of a tangent there, and I don't know how sort of forceful to get on anything with it, but it's like, you know, I'm not trying to change anyone's life here. I'm just literally just being like, please just talk, for God's sake.
Oh, no, I get what you mean. It's always been the way for the last, you know, decade or so, isn't it? That online conversations are not the same as real world conversations. They do sort of heighten it. It can be very, very useful in a platform in a lot of ways, but it can obviously twist things in ways, and it's just a tricky balance, isn't it? I guess real world conversations are ideally preferable, but you know, we're a long way off from getting towards all that stuff, aren't we? But never mind. The other one I wanted to mention, because it's at the time of recording kind of just dropped, or very, very recently dropped, is Keeper. And you know, what obviously one of the kind of last few takes we'll get before the album comes as a whole. Just tell me a little bit about where that track in particular came from. What were the inspirations behind that one?
Well, that's literally the first thing that I wrote with the band. Oh, wow. Like at any point. So bizarrely it was, I think we were doing like a few practices or something. I remember I was walking Husky, and I've got a Husky dog called Tomsky, and he was walking around, and well, I haven't got him. He sort of still lives with us. I was like, you've got a dog. I was like, yeah, but he chooses to not leave. That's how I phrase it. He's like, he hasn't run away yet because we provide food and shelter for him. So he's like walking around on the canals and stuff. And I remember just trying to think, I've got to come up with something that sounds better than Backroads. Like, and I know obviously now it's out, everyone can be like, well, no, it isn't, or whatever. And I was like, no, it's nowhere near as, you know, have the nostalgia of it or whatever. But look, on cue. Poochie Bear.
Excellent.
Poochie Bear. What are you doing? Tomsky Bear. Look, he's got a poorly belly, and he's been kicking off anti-teeth. Good.
Oh, bless.
He's wet because he's been actually. He's doing a roll. He's going crazy. Sorry, Rob.
No. Anyway, the best highlights of all these has been when people's dogs show up on camera. It's the greatest moment. We've had so many of them. I love it. It's just ridiculous.
I've got headphones and I was just like, and I was like, what's that noise? Like a sub drop in the background. I thought it was a pop punk band had dropped in, but no, it was literally like in the background. And so I've been walking him, and he was literally. He wasn't doing anything. He was just walking, just doing his normal sniffing. I remember I was like, yeah, I've got to do something better than this. And that's my bar anyway. I've got like something anthemic, something big, something strong, whatever. And I was like, right, I'll try and come up with something that's like a held notes and big and whatever. So I was kind of doing this voice note. I'll try and dig it out at some point and just like post it. But I was just going like just trying to do this like thing. Probably shouldn't attempt to do a falsetto on the phone. But I was doing like this, and I was like, held note, see if it can work. And it was all right. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I came into the rehearsal room, and they were playing this kind of like thing. I was like, oh, actually that could work there. So I just kind of swapped the key a little bit. So I think I'd already written a bit of the melody for the chorus for that. And then I was like, right, okay, this works. We can get this to sound kind of like big and anthemic and just kind of like singable without what is that? He's found his chew. Tomsky Bear, are you eating now? Yeah, he's got a potato chew.
Brilliant.
But yeah, no, like a massive inspiration to just writing stuff is just going out and walking with this dude. And
yeah.
You know,
oh no, I guess it's the thing, isn't it? It's the thing that so many people say. It's almost when you get to switch your mind off a little bit that the ideas come, and there's no better way to switch your mind off than take the dog for a walk, right?
Yeah, literally. Yeah, it's incredible. I was recording on my phone, like, you know, voice memos and stuff like that. And before that, I didn't like, as soon as people say like, oh, you know, you got to do it properly, you've got to think of like things like, no, just record anything. Because I'm always going like this the whole time, like on my phone. And I'm like, right, cool. What instrument can that go to? Or what, like with Lonely Brave, it's like obviously vocals and stuff. So I'm like trying to get that down to a vocal part. And it's just, I found pretty much all of the vocals, if not 90% of them, are from like voice memos from my phone, like messing about.
No, it's a good way to work it. Good way to keep those ideas flowing. Matt, I'll leave you with this then, which I guess is kind of a weird question given that the album's not even out yet, but something I have found with every single person I've been talking to, like you've already said, you know, writing, working on new material while you guys haven't been able to tour, you've been stuck at home, keep the work going. Have you thought about what's going to come next past this record? You know, let's say that touring's still a little bit while off. Are you thinking about releasing more new music either for yourself or with the band? What's the kind of status there? Yeah, well, with the band, with myself, I'm always writing anyway. It's a bit more like poppy and things like that. So it's not, I've literally just been, with my own Good Movie stuff, I've just literally just write whatever now. It's a mix between like Billie Eilish, fucking blooming John Mayer, Justin Timberlake, like
some awful amalgamation of like all my favorite artists kind of together, which will undoubtedly not work. But in terms of like production and stuff, I just love the fact that, you know, when jazz musicians are just like, yeah, cool, whatever. And you always look at them, and I'm saying, watching them live, like, okay, they're doing their own thing. Cool, you enjoy that. It didn't sound very good, mate. I'm going to crack on, whatever. But the production's always amazing. I'm like, oh, cool, I'll go for that angle. But it just melodies and stuff. I'm always key with melodies. I'm always writing like vocal melodies. So however that sort of transpires, whether it be into like a full band thing, because with Low and the Brave, like a lot of the strength of them for me is that they write kind of together in a room and it sounds like themselves without any vocalist. And that was the kind of point that I was like, right, like with this record, I just really don't want to mess it up in terms of like mixing it or whatever. I just didn't want to make sure it sounded like completely different. I want it to sound like them, but not, you know, like not fake, or just try and get the essence of what they sound like. So yeah, going forward, we were trying to do like all sorts of things that got something squashed with coronavirus, like trying to do like a live set, you know, like gigs and things like that, recorded, like just a proper, because a lot of these songs we've not even played. Like, it's bizarre, we've not even played them as a band, which is really strange.
Yeah, of course.
So that's annoying. And yeah, we've been working on a few, like I say, like back and forward with like trying to work out different people getting interface and things, trying to work out getting like different versions of some new tracks going forward. The best we can kind of do like remotely, because literally we're all in different places. So it's like, I mean, 3 of the band are around Cambridge, but they still have to travel. So it literally makes no difference. They may as well be out of Mongolia. Do you know what I mean? Like at this point in time, it's like you can't meet anyone or whatever it is. So yeah, no, we're trying to work on like, I've literally just, well, I say finished. I don't know if the band, I was just sending it over to the band this morning, see if they're into it. I'm not sure. Some like piano bits and pieces, and I don't know when this is coming out, but like piano kind of, because I couldn't come from like a piano or guitar sort of background and things. So yeah, playing a few bits like that and then seeing how they fit in. So I think it'll be very like new to people, and it's whether that still works with their existing audience or whatever. Don't just like plonk in and be. We'll say, yeah, I'll see what happens.
It's exciting. It feels like a new era for them. But, you know, the obvious being, of course, you coming on board. But I guess, you know, having this extra time to work on a record, it just feels like an exciting moment for you guys. Congratulations on it. We're looking forward to this release day. And thanks, yeah, man. Just all the best to you, man. And we'll catch up with you when we're allowed to, face to face, and whenever shows come back and all that stuff. But in the meantime, you know, just stay safe. Love to you and the guys. And we'll catch up with you soon. All right.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot, man. Nice one.
Yeah, good to see you, man. All right, Jack.